Starship goes full throttle. FAA's new license powers the future of SpaceX missions. In a monumental and far-reaching decision that could redefine the tempo and trajectory of commercial space exploration, the United States Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, has granted SpaceX a powerful new regulatory license, allowing up to 25 Starship launches per year from its Starbase facility in Boca Chica, Texas. Announced on May 6, 2025, this authorization is the culmination of years of environmental review, public scrutiny, stakeholder negotiations, and aerospace engineering advancements. It represents a paradigm shift not just for SpaceX, but for the entire spaceflight industry. With this expanded license, SpaceX now has the regulatory breathing room it long sought to fully realize the vision of Starship as a rapidly reusable, ultra-heavy-lift launch system capable of transforming access to low Earth orbit, LEO, the Moon, Mars, and potentially beyond. The FAA's decision is more than just bureaucratic clearance. It's an inflection point for human spaceflight, innovation, and the future of our species' relationship with the stars. The license permits 25 Starship/Super Heavy launches and up to 50 landings annually, effectively unlocking an operational cadence that supports both rapid prototyping and scalable commercial deployment. Until now, launches at Starbase were heavily restricted, typically limited to a few test flights per year, each subject to unique environmental reviews and public safety considerations. Those constraints, while understandable during the early testing phase of Starship development, have increasingly become a bottleneck as SpaceX moved toward hardware maturity and the demands of NASA contracts, commercial satellite launches, and Mars development timetables. This new FAA ruling frees the company to significantly ramp up not just launch frequency, but also mission complexity, enabling ambitious full-stack tests, orbital refueling trials, satellite payload deployments, and lunar landing rehearsals. The ripple effects of this newfound regulatory capacity will reverberate across the global aerospace sector, from satellite broadband providers and launch competitors to planetary scientists and space agencies worldwide. The process leading up to the FAA's expanded authorization was anything but simple. For over a year, the agency conducted a comprehensive environmental analysis of the impact of increased launch activity in the ecologically sensitive Rio Grande Valley. The area surrounding Starbase includes tidal flats, wetlands, sand dunes, and other fragile ecosystems that support a host of endangered and threatened species, including the piping plover, the red knot, the ocelot, and sea turtles that nest along the Gulf Coast. Environmental groups, local residents, and indigenous communities raised serious concerns about the implications of frequent, high-energy rocket launches, including the risk of fires, explosions, noise pollution, habitat disruption, and restricted public access to nearby beaches and parks. These concerns were not unfounded. Several earlier Starship tests had ended in fiery crashes, some of which spread debris over several square kilometers and prompted road closures and public safety alerts. Nonetheless, the FAA's final report, issued as a finding of no significant impact (FONSI), concluded that SpaceX's proposed launch cadence would not warrant a full environmental impact statement (EIS), a process that could have delayed Starship development by years. Instead, the FAA cited mitigations already in place and proposed further conditions under which launches must be conducted. These include pre-launch wildlife surveys, beach closures during critical nesting seasons, launch window restrictions, and a continued partnership with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service to monitor environmental health. Additionally, SpaceX is required to fund conservation efforts, invest in habitat restoration projects, and establish an environmental education program in local communities to promote awareness of ecological stewardship. While some advocacy groups remain skeptical of these assurances, the FAA emphasized that it will retain enforcement authority and can revisit its decision if future launches prove more disruptive than predicted. With this green light, SpaceX is poised to accelerate development across all its Starship-related initiatives. At the heart of this acceleration is the Starship/Super Heavy system itself, a towering 121-meter-tall two-stage rocket that, when fully operational, will be the largest and most powerful launch vehicle ever built. Capable of lifting over 100 metric tons to orbit, it dwarfs NASA's own Space Launch System, SLS, and promises dramatically lower cost per kilogram thanks to its reusability. The Super Heavy booster provides the initial thrust to escape Earth's gravity, while the upper Starship stage can function as a cargo hauler, crew vehicle, lunar lander, or even interplanetary transporter. Every Starship launch now becomes a valuable opportunity for testing aerodynamic surfaces, refining re-entry and landing profiles, validating life support systems, and collecting telemetry for flight software updates. Perhaps most crucially, the high-frequency testing now made possible by FAA clearance will allow SpaceX to rapidly iterate and refine its in-space refueling infrastructure, an absolute necessity for long-duration missions to the Moon and Mars. NASA is among the most direct beneficiaries of the FAA's decision. The space agency has contracted SpaceX to develop a version of Starship to serve as the Human Landing System, HLS, for its Artemis program. Under this agreement, Starship will ferry astronauts from lunar orbit to the Moon's surface and back, a mission profile that demands proven reliability and precision. Starship's role in Artemis 3, slated for the late 2020s, will mark the first time humans have set foot on the Moon since Apollo 17 in 1972. The FAA's regulatory green light now enables SpaceX to conduct multiple lunar landing simulations, docking trials, and fuel transfer demonstrations in low Earth orbit and beyond, all critical prerequisites for a safe and successful Artemis mission. With the clock ticking on NASA's Moon timeline, the ability to launch more often is not just convenient, it's essential. But SpaceX's ambitions stretch well beyond the lunar horizon. Elon Musk's ultimate goal is to establish a self-sustaining human colony on Mars, and Starship is the keystone of that vision. Mars colonization will require not just a handful of test flights, but hundreds, possibly thousands, of launches to move people, supplies, habitats, and infrastructure to the Red Planet. Every Starship flight from Texas, whether it's a test, a satellite deployment, or a lunar simulation, serves as a rehearsal for that monumental undertaking. Each mission generates real-world data that engineers use to improve thermal shielding, structural integrity, guidance systems, and booster recovery techniques. The newly permitted launch frequency allows SpaceX to build this knowledge base at an unprecedented rate, helping to close the technical gaps that have historically made Mars travel an elusive dream. For Musk and his team, every step forward, no matter how small, is a step closer to making humanity a multiplanetary species. Meanwhile, on Earth, the implications of Starship's higher cadence are equally profound. One of the key use cases for Starship is the mass deployment of Starlink satellites, the backbone of SpaceX's global broadband internet initiative. Unlike Falcon 9, which can carry about 60 Starlink satellites per flight, Starship can launch over 400 in a single mission. This capacity, combined with a lower cost per launch, opens the door to rapid network expansion, redundancy, and global internet access in regions that have long been digitally disconnected. Starlink is already in use on commercial flights, in war zones, in remote villages, and aboard ships at sea. As geopolitical tensions rise and governments look for secure, resilient communications infrastructure, Starlink's proliferation could become a major force in global telecommunications. And Starship is the launch vehicle that makes it all scalable. The FAA's decision also provides a major economic and strategic advantage to the United States. In a world where space is increasingly seen as a domain of military and commercial competition, the ability of an American company to conduct frequent, heavy payload launches from U.S. soil is a form of soft power and industrial dominance. Other countries, including China, India, and Russia, have made significant investments in their space programs, but none have yet demonstrated the reusability, payload capacity, or operational tempo that Starship now has permission to pursue. For the Pentagon, the FAA license reinforces the potential to use SpaceX for rapid response satellite launches, space-based surveillance, and even long-range military logistics. For U.S. allies and commercial partners, it signals that the United States remains at the forefront of space access and innovation. As the dust settles over Boca Chica and engineers ready their checklists for the 9th Starship flight, set for May 19, 2025, there's a palpable sense that a new chapter in spaceflight is underway. This mission will mark the first time that SpaceX reuses a super heavy booster, a milestone that could further drive down launch costs and bring the aviation-like model of rapid turnaround one step closer to reality. The vehicle's performance will be scrutinized by engineers, investors, government agencies, competitors, and the public alike. Each successful launch will validate the FAA's confidence in the system's safety and reliability, while each failure will yield critical lessons for future design. Ultimately, The FAA's approval of 25 Starship launches per year is not just a green light for rockets, it's a green light for progress. It validates the notion that commercial space companies, under proper oversight, can shoulder the mantle of exploration once carried solely by governments. It affirms the role of public-private partnerships in advancing science, commerce, and human destiny. And above all, it allows SpaceX to move boldly toward a future where space travel is no longer rare, but routine. The stars, once distant and silent, are now a little closer, and they're calling louder than ever.